All right, welcome back everybody to Dennis's Tuesday Talks here at Vitality Chiropractic. And I realized that all I needed to do was turn the laptop around. Y'all could have a much better visual rather than me seated at my desk. So today I wanted to talk about some of the details of a topic which I've been discussing a lot recently, and so that is the Mediterranean diet. And so everybody knows that I kind of recommend somewhere between the Mediterranean diet and the Paleo diet. I, in all honesty, do sort of a blend of that with a little bit of flexibility in between. And so that saying it just like that right there, I realized that I needed to kind of further dig in and clarify on, why I would even present it in that way, where it's like, well, you have, some options, and, why I think there's benefit in one or the other. And so today we're going to talk about, the best parts of the Mediterranean diet. And then next week, we're going to talk about the best parts of the Paleo diet. I got my Mountain Valley sparkling water here, and a few other snacks that I picked up from National Grocers. So I think the idea that I'm trying to get across is that if you understand sort of the nutrients, the compounds that are abundant in certain diets, then we can understand why these diets are proposed to be longevity diets or weight loss diets or just healthy diets in general. And then maybe with that understanding, you can just pick out the key parts of that diet and incorporate them into whatever your current diet is. And because I think that we all should have the freedom to sort of create our own menu, our own palate, so to speak. So cutting to the chase, I want to go over a few items that are, I think, making the Mediterranean diet stand out as a winner of a diet. So, and you guys, this is not going to be a surprise if you've been following me for a while. The Mediterranean diet checks a bunch of my sort of key boxes, the key components that I think are important for a human cuisine. It contains nutrients that are really otherwise devoid in sort of the standard American diet. So number one is going to be omega-3s. This should be obvious. The Mediterranean diet contains a lot of fish. Number two is going to be polyphenols or antioxidants. You guys have probably heard me say antioxidants a lot, and I want to spend a little bit of time on that, explaining the difference between antioxidants and polyphenols. Next is going to be fiber. Between the two, when people ask me, well, what's really the big difference between the Mediterranean diet and the Paleo diet? The way I explain it in a nutshell is, both are real foods. The Mediterranean diet leans a little bit more plant-based. You still have to eat fish and some animal proteins, but a bigger majority of your food is coming from plant sources, whereas the Paleo diet is a little bit more animal-based. So with being more plant-based, the Mediterranean diet is naturally going to have a little bit of higher fiber. And then lastly, the Mediterranean diet is huge on olive oil. And so I think that, that kind of falls in with the polyphenols, and not omega-3 technically, but it does contain some healthy fats. So we'll talk a little bit about olive oil at the end. So the big one that I want to talk about today is the polyphenols. I think I've spoken enough on omega-3s, healthy fats, but I haven't dug in too much into what we would call the plant antioxidants. So in the human diet, and if if we use that paleo logic that I talk about a lot, I am convinced that it is possible to get complete nutrition from a more animal-based diet. And in the animal-based diet, when we're talking about antioxidants, we're actually talking about the vitamins and minerals that are essential to survival, to human thriving. And that's going to be vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, and selenium. These are the true, required antioxidants, okay? However, in plants, there are compounds that have an antioxidant function in the body. And when we're talking about antioxidants functioning in the body, the best way to think about it is sort of decreasing inflammation. Okay, free radicals in the body are these sort of compounds that are ultimately kind of dangerous to the tissues. They do have some benefit, free radicals. They signal cells to do certain essential functions in the body. But if the free radicals kind of proliferate and they don't end up getting paired up with an antioxidant, then they're sort of just floating around doing damage, adding to oxidation, adding to inflammation and stress in the body. So we want to balance. And so we get A, C, E, and selenium from a well-rounded animal-based diet. But, when we have extra inflammation in the body, extra free radicals, oxidation from toxins, environmental toxins, like, air pollution, we have, viruses going around, we have chemicals in our body care products, we have additives in our food, we have all kinds of, sort of external added stressors in our lives. Sorry, I suddenly got like a bit of a stuffy nose. I think the pressure change from being out in the heat coming into the air conditioning. So, it's more likely in this modern culture that we're in, modern world, that our antioxidant, oxidant, or free radical balance is shifted more towards the oxidative stress. And so we want to introduce into our diet things that are going to balance that out. So in plants, you have things like polyphenols. You have things like catechins, different anthocyanins, salicylic acid, I don't even know how you say it, ellagic acid, ellagic acid, I don't know how you actually pronounce it. And there are these different compounds that have antioxidant capacity in the body. So in the Mediterranean diet, one of the favorite pieces of the Mediterranean diet that people love is the idea of drinking a glass of red wine every night. Now, where I think people probably get it wrong is imagining that it's the alcohol itself that is leading to all these health benefits in the heart and the cells and people living longer, happier lives. Now, that might be a little bit true if you could truly just have, one drink a day. Maybe it's going to help you manage some stress and, have a better mood, maybe better social interactions, maybe be able to have a second wind to do more chores around the house, something like that. But likely the real sort of longevity health benefits are coming from some of these plant-based antioxidants, so specifically resveratrol. So I want to take a second and dig in on resveratrol and its benefits. But before I do that, I want to say you don't have to drink red wine to get resveratrol. as you know, one of my favorite foods and desserts is frozen berries. Okay, resveratrol is in things like blueberries, different frozen berries. I even have a handout here on all the benefits of raspberries. Okay, so frozen berries, it's not just a real food alternative to ice cream. It's a real food alternative to ice cream that also is giving your body all kinds of health benefits. So let's talk about resveratrol. So resveratrol, I'm just going to read here an article to you guys. It was dubbed the fountain of youth by Harvard Medical School researchers after studies showed that this antioxidant could increase cell survival and slow aging in live yeast. So they first tested this on yeast, specifically the Saccharomyces cerevisiae. They later tested it in mice, and they showed that it activated a longevity gene, and this is like the whole sirtuin genes, the SIRT1, which is a regulator gene. And they found that by activating this gene, it extended the lifespan by 70% and increased DNA stability. Now, that's just, I'm citing this study here. That's not, if you start drinking red wine and eating blueberries, you're not going to increase your lifespan by 70%. I'm sure they use some weird dosage, or that's kind of theoretical, but for sure it can, all things being equal, help your health, at least your health span, right? How long you live feeling healthy and capable, if not your total lifespan. So the sirtuins, the SIRT1 gene, it regulates the aging process, and they are themselves regulated by diet and environmental stress. So this is really not that surprising. And they also defend the bodies against free radicals and protect the cells against stress. Okay, so here's what's really cool. So if you're coming to me and you're like, cool, I want to live long, I guess, fine, Dennis, but I want to lose weight. Here's what's really interesting about adopting these, and resveratrol, let me back up, it's coming from like these dark colored fruits and berries, right? So things like red grapes, things like blueberries, blackberries, dark berries, dark red wine, right? So again, we don't want to just go start drinking whiskey, a glass of whiskey every night, or even the white wine. It's coming from these dark colors. So, here's the cool thing about adopting a Mediterranean style diet and bringing in these dark berries into your life. It helps actually with weight loss. So resveratrol, it's like fasting. This is the headline, without the frustration. Now, disclaimer, I still think the best way, if you really, really have to lose weight and you want to put a deadline on it, you ultimately do need to track calories. But maybe you don't want to track calories for the rest of your life, or maybe you're not in a place where you want to track calories right now. There are things you can do to get yourself heading in the right direction. So incorporating resveratrol, these polyphenols into your diet can help. So fasting, calorie restriction, and exercise are also known to activate the SIRT1, the sirtuin gene. And the research is showing that resveratrol's ability to activate this gene is also, as well as being aiding in longevity and protecting from metabolic stress, is also mimicking some of the benefits of fasting and caloric restriction. So by activating this gene, we're actually putting our body into a state that it feels like calorie restriction, and which should in turn mean some weight on the scale going down, or losing some weight on the scale. So they did a study, a double-blind crossover study of 11 obese men. So this is a human study, really cool, taking 150 milligrams of resveratrol daily for 30 days and which showed an increase in the SIRT1. It showed improved mitochondrial function and increased AMPK activation. This AMPK is known as sort of a metabolic or metabolism thermostat, like a regulator. And by upping AMPK, we're sort of upping our metabolism. And it also activates the uptake of glucose and fatty acids into the cells for energy production. So this is good, right? We want to get sugar, we want to get fats into our cells. That's going to help with feeling more energy. It's going to help with cognition, and it's going to help us in our exercise process because we want to get those nutrients into the muscles, into the cells for repair, for restoration and regeneration. We don't just want them stuck floating around in our bloodstream, which is what happens when you are insulin resistant. So this AMPK is just kind of helping really tune up the metabolism. It's getting our body, better utilization of nutrients. It's upping that sort of thermostat or the heat of the metabolism. We're burning a little hotter and losing weight. So here, getting back to the study, there was also a decrease in circulating blood glucose, triglyceride levels, and inflammation markers compared to the control group. Systolic blood pressure also dropped while insulin resistance improved. The researchers concluded that just 30 days of resveratrol supplementation induces metabolic changes in obese humans, mimicking the effects of calorie restriction. So pretty cool stuff. It revealed that resveratrol opposed the effects of a high-calorie diet in 144 out of 153 significantly altered pathways. Sorry, I skipped around a little bit on you guys. Proven health. So, a couple different human studies there. Really interesting stuff. So the article kind of goes on, talks about how resveratrol, because it helps with blood sugar, it helps with type 2 diabetes, which is really all connected with cardiovascular disease. So they're finding cardiovascular benefits and brain benefits. So I think that's really neat. Let's take a look here and see what it says about brain. One of the unique antioxidants, it does cross the blood-brain barrier. And, we can get some inflammation in the brain. And so it's cool to have, sort of a warrior on our side, a nutrient that can get in there and fight for us, for our brain and our brain function. There was one double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover study that had 22 healthy adults aged 18 to 29 years, either taking a placebo or single dose of 250 milligrams of resveratrol. And there was another group with 500 milligrams. And the results showed that both doses, but not the placebo, increased cerebral blood flow, which was sustained throughout task performance. So, that blood flow is kind of helping people concentrate, helping, keeping blood going to the brain while they're doing tasks. And they concluded that the results showed that single doses of orally administered resveratrol can modulate cerebral blood flow. So blood to the brain with antioxidant capacity, all very, very good thing for brain function today and down the road, in our future years. It says here, resveratrol impacted learning, mood, and memory in the elderly. One study showed that it's even stimulated neurogenesis, so the process of forming new neurons in the brain, and it helped with blood vessel formation in the hippocampus. And these structural changes are associated with significant improvements in spatial learning, memory function, and mood function. So, a huge pitch for resveratrol here. But again, kind of going back to my point is that we can get this into our diets without drinking a bottle of red wine every day. And so my number one hack is going to be frozen berries. I love frozen berries. I eat them at nighttime, and it's a great way to hydrate. The water in fruit is going to get into your cells better because of the sugar content in that fruit. It's coming packed with other vitamins and minerals, by the way, potassium, vitamin C, and then we're getting this resveratrol and these other phytonutrients. So really amazing way to and a simple and delicious way to aid in your health journey and in your fitness journey, and just your overall well-being in life. The article does mention resveratrol helping with menopause. That's pretty neat. I'm not going to read that because I want to move on to a couple other compounds real quick. But if you have questions about that, definitely reach out to me offline. So I want to take a second and talk about raspberries. So raspberries, they've done some studies and showed that I really need to learn how to say this right. I just realized right now, I've read this word a million times, don't know how to say it. ELLAGIC, ellagic acid, ellagic, could go a lot of ways. That they did some studies on mice, and getting to the punchline is that it actually decreased the likelihood of getting cancer. So basically they tried to poison these mice and induce cancer, but they fed them essentially raspberries and were able to significantly reduce the likelihood of getting cancer. And what was really interesting about this study is that it was the equivalent of about 1 cup of raspberries a day that gave this effect. And just to cite those sources. So the study was by Narayanan, Joffrey, Willingham, Nixon, and it was called P53, P21 expression and its possible role in G1 arrest and apoptosis in ellagic acid treated cancer cells. I'm just putting this out there for the haters online who are going to say, cite your sources. And the other one was by Stoner, Cresty, Carlton, Siglin, Morse, and it was called isothiocyanates and freeze-dried strawberries as inhibitors of esophageal cancer. So that was actually with strawberries. And so, the berries I actually get are from Price Chopper. It's called the antioxidant blend. It's got frozen strawberries, frozen blueberries, frozen raspberries, and frozen cherries. And actually, I think what are the little things called? Pomegranate, the frozen pomegranate as well. And it's absolutely delicious. I love it. It's a huge, probably a 2-pound bag, and I probably eat like a pound a day. It's my go-to at nighttime. It makes me feel really hydrated. The next morning when I wake up, and probably helps with the BM as well. And I just feel like I'm doing a lot of good for my body. So the raspberries, they contain anthocyanins, the ellagic acid, and a few other components. So they also have quercetin, which is, it's another anti-carcinogen, antioxidant, and also known to help with the airways. So kind of helping with, I could probably use some right now, with some congestion, kind of opening up, freeing up, drying up the airways a bit. The catechins also help support the antioxidant defense system found in red raspberries, may contribute to cancer prevention. The salicylic acid also found in red raspberries, is actually it's the same protective effect against heart disease as aspirin, right? So a lot of times we're looking for natural alternatives to over-the-counter drugs. And so red raspberries have a similar effect on the heart as aspirin. And I probably got to imagine that it probably has a similar effect in just like pain and inflammation in the body. So if we're trying to recover from strenuous workouts, recover from our day, just dealing with day-to-day aches, again, having these berries at nighttime, including raspberries, are going to have a a therapeutic effect, and the doses don't need to be huge. So small inhibit. Okay, so it's saying the therapeutic successes of a small daily dose of aspirin to inhibit oh my god, sclerosis suggest the possibility that salicylic acid consumed in foods may provide similar benefit. A 100-gram serving, so about 3/4 of cups of red raspberries, contains around 5 milligrams of salicylic acid. So again, it's not like we have to consume an absurd amount of these fruits and berries. And that's good because I think it's much more preferable to eat your nutrition than to necessarily have to supplement with it. So that's really probably a good place to wrap up. I mean, I've got a ton of articles here, and we could go on about, eye health and skin health, detoxing the liver, detoxing the body. The punchline is that the Mediterranean diet promotes more plant-based antioxidant intake. Okay, so the olive oil, that high oleic acid, the oleic acid helps the oil from oxidation. We want our oils, we don't want them oxidated. A lot of these processed oils are already oxidated, which just means when we ingest them, it's just more oxidation in our body. So we want extra virgin cold pressed olive oil. The olives themselves are also high in polyphenol, so we're getting antioxidant capacity from the olive oil. So it's really great alternative. If you can find a place to add olive oil into your diet, find a place to add dark berries into your diet, red grapes, you're going to get a huge amount of the benefit from the Mediterranean diet. Add in the fiber that you're getting from the berries. Maybe you want to add a little bit more fiber into your diet from just some like dark leafy greens. Then you're going to have great gut health. You're going to have good bowel movements. Fiber itself is feeding the good bacteria in your gut, which are highly involved with your immune system. 80% of your immune cells are in your gut. So you want that gut integrity, and we want good, healthy bowel movement. And then lastly, is just like the fish and the omega-3s. And some would even say omega-3s aren't sort of an antioxidant, right? The punchline is it's all very anti-inflammatory diet. And I think that's why if push came to shove, if you said, what is the healthier diet, Mediterranean or paleo? If you said the word healthy, I'd probably have to say Mediterranean, because push comes to shove, it is more of an anti-inflammatory diet, and it's probably going to reap more short and long-term health benefits. With that said, if you're strict on it, I think it's a little bit low protein, and probably requires a lot more planning for it to be a delicious, sustainable diet, which is why I make some compromises, and I think we can take the tenets of paleo and get a little bit more of enjoyment out of our diet and get a little bit higher protein. So we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, so plant antioxidants, that's kind of the bottom line. And it's more than just saying, oh, antioxidants, inflammation. It's, even looking at how these nutrients can keep the integrity of our cells, the integrity of our DNA, help, decrease the likelihood of chronic disease and future illnesses, and maybe even up our metabolism to help with our weight loss journey. So I think that's a great reason to do it. And I'm going to leave it right there. Grace, you got anything for me?
Helps if I'm off mute.
Yeah.
Let's see here, took some notes. I'm gonna have to check out this idea of berries.
Yeah.
My big success this week was I prepared meals for a change. So
yeah,
I prepared breakfast and lunches and even dinner. So I'm really proud of that and stoked and hope I can do that again next week.
Yeah.
I don't believe I have any questions beyond I missed what you said about olive oil.
Yeah, olive oil. So it also has polyphenols, so it's a lot of the similar benefits from the berries. And then because it's high in like the oleic acid, and there's some companies that have even higher if you want to order online. But it helps when you get extra virgin cold pressed olive oil that's high in oleic acid. That oil has really good integrity from protection from oxidation. So we can get that oil into our body and get the benefits of the polyphenols, get the benefits of the good healthy fats without worrying about pouring extra oxidation into our body. Because, that's why I caution people about processed foods and the processed seed oils. And the processed oils is because those oils have already become rancid and oxidated in the processing. And so now you're just pouring that into your body, and your body's trying to assimilate that. It's not like those oils go in your body, selectively says, oh, we'll pull out this good thing, and we'll pass the rest through. It's trying to assimilate those fats into your own cells. I mean, the external layer of your cells is a fatty acid layer. The external layer of your neurons and your brain cells are a fatty acid layer. And so if you are eating nothing but, sort of these processed oils, well, guess what you're made out of, right? Oxidative processed oils. And that's likely going to lead to a lot of inflammation and disease in your body. Oh, go ahead.
I've heard some conflicting information about cooking with olive oil, that the extra virgin you should not cook with because when you cook with it oxidates it.
Low smoke point, so I actually wouldn't recommend cooking with extra virgin olive oil. It's a great dressing. It's a great, basically condiment that I think is worth, trying to find a way to incorporate into your diet. It could be like if you want to do a pasta. So we were talking about in a prior call edamame pasta, which is high protein plant-based pasta. Dressing it with olive oil instead of maybe a sugary marinara or something like that.
Is there an olive oil that it's beneficial to cook with?
So this is where it does get a little tricky. So then in that case, you actually want like the slightly processed olive oil because it has a higher smoke point. But I would just really just say try avocado oil or coconut oil instead. So I prefer everybody to try and do fruit oils across the board
Okay.
versus seed oils or vegetable oils. And of the fruit oils, avocado and coconut do have higher smoke points. Different flavor profiles, so it kind of depends what you're cooking. But that's the route I would go if you're just trying to be the healthiest possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I think that's all. So that's the case for Mediterranean diet. So I mean, I guess like kind of in layman's terms, summarize it, it's like maybe when somebody looks at the Mediterranean diet, they're seeing all these grains, which I wouldn't go deep into the grains, and an assortment of vegetables and fruits and fishes, and it's like that doesn't appeal to me. Okay, well, still understanding that the polyphenols are something you can get as simple as a cup of frozen berries. Understanding that if you don't like fish, you can supplement with omega-3 fatty acids. Even if you don't like the fishy taste, you can get algae-based DHA, which is great for your brain. Understanding that, just avoiding the processed oils and in general, like, substituting for avocado oil or coconut oil. So just understanding how to get, something out of the diet or replicate the diet in a way so that you can get those health benefits. Well, cool.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. All right. Well, awesome. I'll be back here same time next week. We'll talk about the paleo diet. I might have sounded like I ragged on it a little bit today, but I think there's a lot of great upsides to the paleo diet. I actually eat more paleo than Mediterranean. So yeah, we'll talk about that next week. In the meantime, everybody have a great one. Grace, you have a great day.
Thank you. See you next week.
Catch y'all later. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow. Absolutely tomorrow. See you here next week.
See you here next week. Perfect.
Bye.
All righty. See you. Bye.